is provide a very brief introduction to decimal expansions of real numbers, right? We are all very familiar with the use of decimal expansions since school, but given the context of series that we have built so far, I thought it was worth just making a one brief mention of how decimal expansions formally connect to our understanding of series. Okay, so we are going to talk very briefly about decimal expansions of reals. The first thing to note is that every real number in fact has a decimal expansion. So I'll justify this in a bit, and also for simplicity I'm going to restrict myself to non-negative reals in this, right? Because for negative reals you can always just put a minus sign and the leading end, and the representation remains the same, right? So every non-negative real has a decimal expansion of the following form. So it's k point, that's your decimal point, d1, d2, d3, and so on, right? Where k is a non-negative integer and all of these di's, d1, d2, d3, d4, and so on, they belong to the set 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 9. Okay, so this is what a typical decimal expansion looks like, and specifically this expansion represents the following real. Right, so it's k plus summation di by 10 raised to I. Alright, so this is the real number that is represented by the decimal expansion k point d1, d2, d3, d4, and so on, right? And in particular, note that this series does in fact converge. That's an exercise. It's a trivial exercise for you to check that the series converges. The series above converges. Right? And so therefore, this is in fact a real number that is being represented in this manner. Okay, so that's the basic definition of a decimal expansion. Let us make a few comments on how it is that one would construct it for a given real number, and then we'll talk about the uniqueness properties of the decimal expansion. So let's first talk about construction. Okay, and for simplicity I'm going to pick a number x which is between 0 and 1. Okay, an analogous argument applies of course to any non-negative real, which in turn can be extended to any real. Okay, now how do you construct the decimal expansion of this number x? Okay, now firstly, if x is rational, life is easy. If x is rational, since high school we have been learning long division, right? So you just use long division to construct inductively the decimal expansion, right? So if x is rational, just use long division. Right, I won't bother reminding you what that is. I'm hoping everybody remembers this from school. If not, there is a section on the decimal expansion in the book by Kenneth Ross, which actually outlines the process one more time. So feel free to go through that, right? So let me just focus on what happens if x is a general real valued number. So if x is a general real valued number between 0 and 1, then the thing to note is that 10x is in fact between 0 and 10. right? So therefore I am allowed to write 10x as d1 plus x1. Sorry. Where d1 is essentially the floor, the greatest integer less than or equal to 10x. That's represented by the floor of 10x. And so this is clearly in the set 0, 1 through 9, and x1 is, well, whatever is left, right? Because 10x is equal to d1 plus x1. So this x1 is clearly going to lie in 0, 1, right? So we have basically written well, 10x as d1 plus x1. d1 is the floor of 10x, x1 is whatever is left over on top of the floor, which again lies between 0 and 1. And so my first level of decimal expansion is going to be obtained by just rewriting this. Divide on 10 by both sides to get that x is equal to d1 by 10, well, plus 1/10 of x1, right? Where x1 is also a real number between 0 and 1. So now from now on, it's just rinse and repeat. What you did with x, you now do with x1, right? So now further write 10x1 will be d2 plus x2, where again this d2 lies in 0, 1 up to 9, and this x2 belongs to again 0, 1. So if you patch that back together, you will get that x is equal to d1 by 10 plus d2 by 100 plus 1/100th of x2, where x2 is again between 0 and 1. Similarly, you break up x2 or 10x2 as d3 plus x3 and so on, right? And this is how you would go about constructing the decimal expansion 0 point d1, d2, d3, d4 and so on. Okay, so this is how one would in general construct the decimal expansion for any real number, right? So it should convince you that, every real number is certainly associated with a decimal expansion. Okay, having said this, now let us talk about the uniqueness aspects of the decimal expansion. Now, before we talk about uniqueness itself, let me talk about what it means for a decimal expansion to be repeating. Okay, in some cases, you end up with a decimal expansion where the d1, d2, d3, these di sequence after a certain point starts repeating, right? So the same pattern kind of repeats indefinitely. Such examples are called repeating decimals. So let me just put that here as a note, that the representation that looks in general like this: k point d1, d2 all the way up to dl. So this is the non-repeating part, and then you have some, let's say, r length block which is repeating, l plus 2 all the way up to dl plus r, right? The repeating part, you basically put a bar above to represent it. Okay, so this representation where you have k point d1, d2, d3 up to dl, and then there is an r length block in general, dl plus 1 through dl plus r. If that is repeating, that is represented with a bar on top. Okay, so this representation stands for the decimal expansion where the dl plus 1 all the way up to dl plus r block repeats indefinitely. Indefinitely. All right. So, I mean, this is just, so when it does repeat indefinitely, well, you just have a shorthand notation for representing such decimal expansions. Such decimals are called repeating decimals. right? So let's do a couple of quick examples to see this. Suppose you had something like 9 point, let's say 135 bar, right? What does this stand for? Well, this stands for 9.135353535 and so on. So the 35 bit actually repeats indefinitely, right? Similarly, oftentimes when you follow the procedure that I told you for constructing the decimal expansion, at some point you will get the x, right, itself being 0, right, in which case all the subsequent elements become 0. So suppose so such things are typically called terminating decimals. Those are also in fact repeating decimals. That's what I'm trying to point out here. So suppose you look at 10.3, this is in fact the same as 10.30 bar, right, because it's the 0 bit which is basically indefinitely repeating beyond this point. So terminating decimals should also be interpreted as repeating decimals. Okay, so that's it. One more note is that in general the decimal expansion is in fact not unique, right? Given just the definition of the decimal expansion, I leave it for you to verify that the following is true. Right? Suppose you consider a decimal of the form, let's see, 10.21. I claim that this is in fact, of course, this I already told you is the same as 10.210 bar, but this is in fact also equal to 10.209 bar. Okay, so 10.21 is essentially the same as 10.2099999999 and so on, where the 9 repeats indefinitely. Now, the verification of this I leave to you, because after all, each of these expansions corresponds to a certain series, right? So all you really have to do is verify that the limits of these two series, the series represented by this and the series represented by, well, this, these two series in fact have the same limit. Right? Once you can argue that these two series converge to the same limit, then clearly these are both different decimal representations of the same real number. Okay, so the moral of the story here, and I'm sure this is something that most of you already know, is that decimal expansions are in fact not unique. But it turns out that subject to these kind of differences, right, where you have a repeated 0 or a terminating representation and an alternative representation where you have an infinite string of 9s, barring these kind of duplicities, there are no other, right? So the only duplicities you have are for terminating decimal representations, where a terminal indefinite string of zeros is replaced by another terminal indefinite non-terminal indefinite sequence of 9s. Okay, barring these cases, decimal expansions are in fact unique. So that is what the following theorem states. Any real number is of either of the two categories. Following two categories. Right? Category 1 is it has a unique decimal expansion. And category 2 is that it has two decimal expansions, exactly 2. Right? One of these ending in zeros. Right? So this is your terminating representation, and the other, another okay. So I won't prove this. This is actually not that hard to prove, but this is something that, this is a detail that I don't really want to get into. So if you're interested, well, feel free to try and prove this yourself. For reference, this proof is presented in the book by Kenneth Ross, right? He has a section on decimal expansions where the proof of this statement is in fact given, but it's not very hard for you to be able to construct this proof anyway, right? But I just wanted to state this as this is the uniqueness property of the decimal expansion, that in general you are not unique, but there is a very special type of non-uniqueness that only happens, namely that real numbers which can be represented by terminating decimals also have a corresponding non-terminal representation where the non-terminating part is basically repeating 9. Okay, so this is all I had to say about the uniqueness. Finally, I want to make a quick comment on rationals and irrationals. Okay, and this is to do with what differentiates the decimal expansions of rationals and irrationals. And here the main result is essentially that a real number is rational if and only if it has a repeating decimal expansion. Okay, so remember that all your terminating expansions are also repeating expansions, right? All you're doing is padding it with a 0, and all these terminating expansions in fact have another non-terminating repeating expansion where the repeating component is 9. Okay, so what the theorem tells you is that rational numbers are precisely those real numbers for which the decimal expansion is repeating. In other words, irrational numbers are precisely those numbers where the decimal expansion in fact has no repeating component. So there is no block there's no block such that after a certain point that block will repeat indefinitely, right? So irrational numbers are exactly those real numbers that satisfy this property. All right, so again, I'm actually not going to go into the proof of this. This is something that I'm happy to discuss in the upcoming tutorial, but I would therefore want you to think about this. So there are two parts to this, right? The first thing is to argue that any decimal number with a repeating representation is necessarily rational. That's easy, right? Whenever you have a repeating representation, the series itself can be interpreted as a GP, and so you should be able to argue that the limit in that case is in fact rational. What you now have to prove is the converse. That is, if you do have a rational number, then in computing its decimal expansion, you will end up necessarily getting a repeating block eventually. Okay, and this in fact boils down to the long division interpretation of the decimal expansion. Use long division interpretation. All right, so what I'm going to do is leave this as an exercise to you, and we will discuss this in the upcoming tutorial session. I'll also put this within our problem set for this week. Okay, so this is all I had to say about decimal expansions in this course, because again, it's a course on real analysis, so we will not really dwell on decimal expansions too much. There is one final small topic to do with series, and that is to do with rearrangements, which we will do next week. But after that, that would bring us to the end of this chapter, and then we move on to continuity, differentiability, integrability, and so on. Thank you.